to.
Okay, so we had just left off. We were talking about you had felt empowered through anarchist point of view. Like I just want to stop you real quick and say, okay, what does that even mean? Do you think people know what they're talking about when they talk about anarchists?
A lot of times, no.
And like, what does it mean?
A lot of times, no, and that's why I wouldn't say it for a really long time, because I was like, I'm not going to define myself as something until I'm sure, until I know that I actually believe that. And to me, it's kind of a more individualistic, if that's a word, perspective, and it's challenging all of those who are constantly challenging you and your ideas and your opinions, and holding you down from doing what you want to do because they are the authority, and only because they're power hungry.
Okay. Now, are you talking about, like, the government and the cops here, or are you talking about, like, other people in the movement?
I'm talking about me personally in general.
Yeah.
Just people, I mean.
Okay.
Anyone who thinks that they have the right to have authority over another individual.
Even, like, through elections and that kind of thing?
If I can support, in the broadest sense, something... Maybe I can support the idea of representative democracy only in the sense that the representatives have to be beholden to the people that elected them, and I really don't think that that's the way that it is here anymore. People are either tied down to their party, they're tied down to their individual financial, political ties, individual friendships within this good old boy system that's kind of created itself, and that's not what this country was envisioned to be, I don't think. This country was envisioned to be that the representatives would represent the people that they represent, and they really don't. I prefer a system more...
I'm sure people will eat it.
More directly democratic, like how we do it here.
You mean like participatory?
Participatory, exactly.
Okay. Well, tell me a little... Oh, that pizza looks really good, but... I'm actually not hungry, but that does look really good.
Yeah,
we're starting to get some really good-looking food on the waning moments of the
Occupy. I hope so.
I just sent a great drawing.
Yeah, thanks.
I thought maybe you could just talk a little bit about the...
you just hear that?
I don't on the live stream. Nobody invited him to come and ride his pony. Okay.
Tell me a little bit about the... the interplay between the different, I guess, political tribes that are meeting here. You said they're working toward common goals.
Yeah.
I mean, how has that kind of played out in your opinion? Has it been successful? Has it been frustrating? Has it, on balance, has it been a successful experiment?
I think he did. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm like, wait, why do I have this whole pizza now? I think it has been successful in a lot of regards, and I think there's a lot of work to do in a lot of regards.
Okay.
There's a lot of dynamics that go a lot further than just the Occupy movement between the more radical-leaning folks and the more liberal-leaning folks. And while we want the same sort of things to change, there's a lot of differences in what it looks like after and what it takes to get there as well. And I think this has been a cool experiment in some regards from my viewpoint, that it's an interesting time to be able to get together and work with people that I wouldn't normally be able to work with and kind of work on their scale. In terms of you actually described it once as, in the early days, it felt like we were doing nothing but union actions.
I think I actually took that description from a union person.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I got that from Patrick, actually.
Did you get that from Patrick?
I was going to guess Patrick on that.
Yeah, because it was. I mean, we were, and what you had said with that, if I'm not mistaken, was that we were going to a building, we were yelling at that building for a while, like we were mad at it, and then we would go elsewhere, try to get into somebody's office. They'd say no, so we'd yell at that building for a while,
and then we make a phone call.
And
then we declare victory.
And then we declare victory, and everything's good. And that was what so many of our early actions were like. And that's what a lot of our actions still kind of feel like. And that's not normally what the sort of thing that would interest me. I'm more interested in types of direct action. And it was interesting to work on that kind of scope and have some fun with it and enjoy it. That having been said, while it works sometimes for the public morale and for public consumption to do that to an extent, it's not actually usually that effective in my book.
Sorry.
No, you go.
Since like this has been my first introduction to activism, is all of this, but seeing it after a while, it feels depowering. I'm on a power word night tonight, so it's kind of depowering. Like yelling at a building does only so much.
Yeah. Well, what's curious is that, let's say the radical actions, and we'll just leave that blank for the time being. I mean, most people don't think of those as like dramatically effective either. I mean, they are a different kind of action. Maybe you get a different, feeling or response from doing them, but nothing's effective.
Well, yeah, nothing's really done it yet.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is that part of it also depends on what you're trying to do. And one of the things that a lot of radicals are pushing for that a lot of people don't realize is that we want community. We want spaces like this. We want families like we've created out of this place. And that's what's so beautiful about this to me, is that it's a way to really empower a community.
Point of information.
Point of information?
It might not be a point of information, though.
Point of information.
Point of process?
No. A lot of times people use the word radical and think violent, angry, illegal, horrible.
Yeah, thank you.
And what they don't realize is radical action can also be peaceful, nonviolent, civil disobedience. It's generally that. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, that is radical action. Doing those kinds of things is also standing up to the authorities, gaining that power back for yourselves, instead of being depowered by authority.
All right, now there's 3 minutes left.
Sorry to interrupt.
Speaking of authorities and power, we're obviously in a situation where we're anticipating, unless they're really going to ice the kicker, we're anticipating that eviction ceremonies are going to commence somewhat shortly. Now, I'm not going to be able to upload this for another day or two at least. I'm just wondering if either of you would like to talk about what do you expect is about to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
If by in another day or two you mean not until after?
Well, yeah, I'm not...
Because it's a possibility that it could be a day or two, like you say, if they really decide to mess with us.
Or they could wipe my camera and no one will ever see this. One way or the other.
I think they try tonight. I'm guessing between the hours of about 11 and 2.
11.
I say 11. 11 o'clock is when I'm guessing. There's a shift change at the Sheriff's Department. That's kind of prime time for them to have enough people to be able to do it. It's the Sheriff's Department that's going to come in. I'm not sure what everybody's going to do individually. This is going to be a day for a night for true diversity of tactics. I think people are going to be doing whatever they feel comfortable with.
What was that, diversity of tactics?
Diversity of tactics.
Okay. Now, does that mean just everyone does what they want and it's kind of a mess?
I mean, to an extent. Not necessarily in terms that it's a mess, but there's opportunities for people to do whatever they feel is appropriate within the policies and standards that we've all set as a community of nonviolence and those kinds of things. There's an opportunity and a space here for people to do whatever they think is appropriate to defend this park. And that may be locking arms, that may be really trying to resist by chaining themselves to things, that may be all sorts of things. And I don't necessarily think that's what's going to happen tonight, but there's a space for it.
What do you think is going to, what do you expect to see happen tonight?
I have no idea. I'm not thinking about it.
Okay. Very good.
I think whatever happens, and you have to run with your emotions. And that's why, everybody's trying to plan all this stuff, and I'm like, you'll know when the time comes exactly what you're going to do, and you're going to do that because that's exactly how you feel. That's what's in your heart.
All right. Well, on that note, I'll leave you guys to your pizza finally. Sammy and Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us on The Comment.